Welcome to This Week in Hospitality Marketing, the podcast show number 403 with your host, Lauren Gray.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hospitality Marketing, the podcast. I am your host, Lauren Gray, and this is episode number 403. Oh my goodness. So each week we spend around 20 to 30 minutes sharing the most interesting tools, news, and techniques being used in marketing for the hospitality industry. Let's do a quick recap of our weekly live TV show, This Week in Hospitality Marketing, which airs every Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time on the Hospitality Channel TV station. So with that, hey, let's get started.
And now, today's new resource tool.
So our tools for review this week, believe it or not, are not tools that you would find necessarily on AppSumo. Actually, I take that back. One of them is on AppSumo, but the other ones are more mainstay apps for the obvious reason they're going to be connected to our technique discussion. Let me get the one that's on AppSumo that we've dealt with and have used several times, and it's more of the mainstay. There's a couple of variations and others that are doing what this does, but I want to refer to this one for the particular context of what our technique discussion is today, and that is socialinsider.io. Socialinsider.io, if in case you've been living under a rock and have not listened to any of our shows previous to all of this, is a great tool for not only competitive search analysis, but more importantly, and more relevant to today's discussion, what your social activities are doing. How are they getting engaged with? How many views? How many likes, comments, or shares are being done? And how does that look? And what time of days are they interacting? And what is it that you are posting? And if you're not always on top of that, if you're not the facilitator of that, if you're simply the person that is responsible for its productivity, but you yourself aren't the facilitator of using their social media platforms in the sense of what you're doing for postings, then this is a great tool to give you a chance to look at that. And that is socialinsider.io. The other two tools are going to be kind of like, one of them is Google's Search Console, search.google.com. The Search Console is the bread and butter tool for all things Google website, what your performances, your errors are, your issues are, your content, your relevancies. Now, we've had many discussions over the years with the podcast and the live show about auditing and so forth, and looking at and evaluating your technical performance of your site, your ability for mobile platform first, obviously, and then the way it renders other ways. All of those things. And the Search Console is an integral part of that process. But it also has a great tool for showing what it is that may or not be working anymore, in the sense of broken links, broken content, pages that are no longer there, things that haven't been indexed yet, that may be content that hasn't been discovered by Google, that you haven't pinged and have put on, things that, again, broken, that you thought were still there, or that they're connected to the wrong things. Key element to our technique discussion today, where the content is old and it needs to be new, or there's new content and it's not replacing the old content, whatever it is. Google Search Console is the tool and the ticket for that. Third and final tool, ads.google.com. It is paramount that it is the de facto tool for all of your ad campaigns. What your campaigns are, what your ad groups are, what your types of ads are, what your rich media and types of media that you're using, what is the distribution you're filtering, your capabilities, your marketing campaign success and lack thereof. All of these are the fundamental bread and butter aspects of ads.google.com. And why did we take such obvious platforms like Search Console and Ads for Google and threw in Social Insider? Because it's about our technique of the week.
Now, for this week's hospitality technique.
Our technique discussion this week: fast ways to see what you're selling. Yes, it is amazing, but a lot of not just clients that I interact with and so forth, when I first started engaging with them and started evaluating what they've been doing and where they're at and so forth, but just in general looking at competitors and so forth. The set and forget mentality that so many people have. Oh, we have ads running. How new are the ads? How relevant is the content of the ads being used? Are they still targeted correctly? Is the messaging still accurate? Is it still good? Is there any dating about it that might be wrong? Is there old content that no longer is accurate, like you're showing pictures of a restaurant you no longer have looking that way, or that you have a video promoting your hotel that doesn't look like your hotel anymore, but you haven't replaced the video yet? The idea of it is, and this goes with our live show discussion that we had today, which we'll get to next, is you always have to be aware of your communication, which is your marketing, and how relevant it still is. Now, in relationship to the tools we threw out there, the Search Console for Google, the ads platform for Google, the Social Insider for social, it's when you're responsible for the facilitation of these things, it's about getting them launched and running. It's getting them up and going. But then once they're done, you move on to the next thing you have to do. And all too often, what you started stays in perpetuity until you come back and nudge it again. Let's get into some Newton laws about motion and inertia and stuff. But the idea is, a lot of people that you use to facilitate this with you may be functionally capable of doing so, but they don't understand the relevancy of maybe getting back in front of you going, okay, now that those campaigns are done, do you still want them to run? Was there an end date set? What's the next to replace that? Is it already set, or do you wait for it to run out and find out that you haven't been running ads because the ads that you last gave authorization for was an event-driven or seasonal-driven event, and that campaign concluded, and gosh knows you have a million things on your agenda, and there was a little notification you gave yourself saying spring campaigns are over, but you never addressed what the replacement, the pre-summer campaigns would be, and or summer campaigns, or whatever it is that you would title your next phase of business cycle and or event cycle for the next month or what have you. And it got busy and you didn't get it. This awareness of what you're selling, it's critical that you get a chance to be able to snapshot quickly and know and look and say, how are we doing? Not just from the evaluate of making sure that plates always spin, but also how well things are being maintained. The event page that you created for last year's Flower Fest, that it was so good with the campaign and you did a special for it and it produced really well and so forth. And you're like, well, great, we got to go to the next year. But nobody took the time to refresh the content. You didn't take the time to see if the content needed to be refreshed. You didn't make sure that there was a new promotion created for it, and or if it was, is it actually correctly linked into the content page? Do you need to make a new content page? Is there newer images that you have from last year's event that you could use for this year so that it doesn't look like the same old, same old? Is that content in your ad campaigns correctly? Are the campaigns pointing to the right landing pages correctly? And you're saying, look, I know this is all important, but I don't necessarily, I'm not the one that does this. Yes, but you may be the facilitator in the sense of the overseer of who has to make sure it's done, and not asking those questions. And I'm not saying that whoever works with you is not being proactive, but they have the diversities too. And unless you squeaky wheel it and make sure that question comes up, like, hey, what is our campaigns running this month? And have them review the campaigns, show you a screen capture of the ad, show you the rich media that they're using, show you the filtering that they've defined or changed since the last year they did it. If last year's is perfect and it ain't broke, don't fix it, then confirm that still is legitimate. Did they do any A/B testing from that in comparison? And that's where these tools that we brought in with the Search Console with Google, the ads, the platform for Google, and of course Social Insider, like you get to look at yourself through the lens of what our posts are doing, what the engagement is that they're having, what kind of imagery is being used, what kind of videography is being used, which ones are being engaged with the most. Is the timelessness of this good? You get to ask questions like, are we posting at the right time? I see that we tend to statically post on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Is that still the best time? Is there other times that we should do this? I see other people are engaging with our content on a Saturday morning, but we're not posting on Saturday morning. Is it better for us to maybe refresh the content on Saturday morning on our Facebook or Instagram or what have you? And better yet, taking the snapshot of looking at your competitors or asking your facilitators to look at your competitors and saying, are their posts showing better results, and are they posting at different times that might produce better results? This type of engagement is a critical component of what you need to always keep on top of. And you don't want to spend an entire day, which sounds very small in comparison to the entire month, but your entire day is incredibly valuable with 1,000 other things you're doing, to sit down and say, okay, crack the knuckles, flip the keyboard, let's look at every campaign we're doing, let's turn over every rock and evaluate everything we're doing. And having to do that again the following week, or at the very least the next month, you need to be able to have a fast way of looking at these things. So build yourself up. What you need to know is your most critical touch points. Do I need to keep a more aware aspect of my ad campaigns running? If so, how do I do that within Google Ads? If you don't know, get your facilitator on your team or your third party to show you how to navigate to the parts that are important for you to be aware of. Now, obviously, if you have good analytics and you're running your own sites and so forth, and you can actually pull your own analytics, having proper dashboards for your analytics is critical. And that goes into whole discussions we've had about GTM and the new GA4 that's rolling out at the end of this month, or excuse me, end of June. And GA3, universal analytics is going to go away. All of those things, what does your dashboard show you? But it's also more important, beyond just the performance metrics, as it is the actual content, the messaging, the communication that you're doing. Do my ads still sound true? Are they true? Are they accurate? Is the images the best we have for what we're messaging? Is the rich media the best that we have from it? Because so often, you may have thrown an ad campaign together with stock images because you're doing a new ad campaign for a new event and you didn't have pictures of that event that were yours, so you had stock images. Now that you've gotten one under your belt, did you get that rich media that you were hoping to grab? And if so, are you using it? That's that kind of always seeing what you're selling mentality that's so critically important. And that's how it ties together to our tools about, the Search Console for Google, the ad content platform for Google, and of course, Social Insider as an example of a platform that can help you quickly evaluate your social media campaigns and also your competitors, just to see if there's questions to ask. So there you have it. Our technique this week, fast ways to see what you're selling.
Now, this week's hospitality news that you should know.
So news and show review. Our live topic show today was about why you need to shop your own marketing. If I haven't hammered the point enough, then please listen to the live show to understand a little bit more of the metrics as to legitimizing the need to watch what you're showing. It's so easy, and we've seen this in news and things where they blame the intern that did the inappropriate post, or don't know how that ad got out there. That was a tone-deaf ad that was poorly timed, poorly executed. Why did we let it get past all of our checks and balances and so forth and so on? You always need to see what your consumer sees about your business. Do they see the correct images? Do they see the correct videography? Do they see the correct content? Is your site still the most authoritative source for information about your business? These things have to always be looked at. It's a part of an organic auditing process, a self-fulfilling auditing process that every business should do. It's not that you are paranoid about your messaging, but you almost have to be borderline centric about it. You want to make sure that your content truly is the content you want to represent you. Your 24/7 salesperson, which was an old adage coined for websites when they first started becoming the popular things that they are now, is this is the thing that's up there all the time when everybody else is asleep. This is what people see. And then they look at your website, that's you, 24/7. That awareness of what you're communicating, you should always at least touch on a regular basis to make sure that it isn't a surprise factor. Nothing is worse than an owner of a company to be in front of a group of people for one unrelated issue, and some press person or person in the audience raises a question about content that is reflecting this person's company that person was unaware of. It's terrible. Usually people get terminated for those kind of things, depending upon the scale of the damage that it creates. That's why it's always important for everyone, from the top tier down to the lowest tier, to consistently look at what you are doing for marketing, shopping your own marketing, and making sure that it is truthful, it's accurate, and that it's timely. So that was our live topic in our live show today. One of the other things I just want to throw into the mix for our news discussion today was Expedia has a new travel planner AI. They're using ChatGPT. Who isn't in the world at this point? But the most interesting aspect of it is, and it's still not fully integrated for functionality, just it isn't. But it does create an interesting lead gen capability. It basically is asking, you can go to Expedia on their travel planner, and you can ask us, like, I'm planning a honeymoon trip to Hawaii. Which should I try, Maui or Kauai or whatever? And it'll go through a dialogue with you. Now, there are some integrations that it has now, and I think it's going to get better in the future, obviously, as well as other competitors to this. It will take what it gives as an answer that you like and it will put it into your static planner. Like if it recommends certain hotels, it'll put it in to your static planner. But it doesn't do all of it. It doesn't give you any other preferences. Doesn't give you per day preferences. Doesn't give you other things. But it does help kind of spur the dialogue on with this. Now, it's in an infant stage, I think, and it's more curiosity than value proposition. But the unique part of it is the direction that it's going. That personal assistant, much like out of Iron Man or something, that you're talking and saying, hey, answer me this question, or what do you think about this? And you have an interactive dialogue with AI. And the AI will become more and more tailored to your preferences of pricing, accommodations, event interest, and so forth, so that the answers that it begins to give will be more about answers to you than just answers in general. But I found it very interesting that it is working in that direction. So obviously the link for the travel planner for Expedia's new beta is in our show notes, along with the tools that we mentioned. The links to those are also in our show notes for it. Remember, you can always find us on Google Play, Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Stitcher, for 39 platforms and counting. We're even on Amazon's Alexa, Google Assistant, and Siri. Just ask any of them to play the Hospitality Marketing Podcast, and it will start playing it. Of course, no matter which one you may use, please leave us a comment and give us a good rating. That helps others find our content, obviously. If this is your first time hearing us, please smash the subscribe button. That way you can catch us every week. With the podcast been going on for 17 years, weekly for the past 9 years. And then, of course, our live TV show on our TV station, Hospitality Channel, is also into its ninth year, actually coming up into our 10th year here soon. And that is going to be... my mind just went blank for it, but the subscribing to on the platform you find us is always great. Also to our TV channel, our reruns. That's what I want to get to. Boy, mine's off in a distant place today. For all of our I Love Lucy type reruns, we have the hospitalitychannel.tv. There we keep all of our podcasts, in addition to our podcast page on the platform you find it on. We also have another home for all of ours, as well as our live shows. You can find it by which host was on it, what the topic was, or the date of broadcast. That's our I Love Lucy TV platform. If you want to look for a website that has our TV station on it, there's talktravel.tv, but you can also look at your Apple iOS or Android device. There's an app for it. And then, of course, on your TV, whether it be Roku TV, Samsung TV, Apple TV, Google TV, Amazon TV, simply look for a Hospitality Channel. The live show is always on the free version of that. There is paid content past that if you're interested. It's only $5 a month. Great hospitality industry content that's behind that wall. And then, of course, if you're a hospitality marketing professional, you can join our peer-centric group at hospitalitymarketing.club. If you go to the website, put your email address in. I send you a quiz. If you get 90% or better on it, we send you an invite to the peer group. It's not a basic teaching, learn buzzwords and just what marketing is. Being a hospitality marketer, you have advanced questions. And there's been no forum like ours that you can ask other people, peer-level people, advanced hospitality marketing questions. It's a great platform. I've been having a lot of fun. It's a closed group that's on its own platform. It's not on Facebook or anything like this. It's on its own social platform, isolated. So if you're interested in joining us with that, please go to hospitalitymarketing.club. Until then, my name is Lauren Gray. I thank you for the privilege of your time, and I look forward to talking to you all next week.
You have been listening to This Week in Hospitality Marketing, the podcast show 403, brought to you by Hospitality Digital Marketing and in support of the HSMAI, Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International.